and welcome to Time as an Ingredient, sponsored by Gulf Photonics, makers of the AccuBrew fermentation monitoring system. This is a podcast we're starting for industry professionals and breweries and planning, and we hope consumers get a little bit out of this as well to learn what it takes to make great tasting beer and sell it. Today's episode is It's About Damn Time with Devon Kreps, owner of Seventh Sun Brewery. We have Allie Gray, a brewer at Seventh Sun. Micki Bell, director of marketing and communications at Green Bench. And Meghin Magliano, thank you. I should have done that more phonetically. She's the owner of the Baking Brewer, and she's the chapter leader of the Florida Pink Boots chapter. And needless to say, they're all members of Pink Boots. And today we're going to discuss about what's happening with our industry and women, and trying to get them back into brewing. So let's do introductions and how you got where you are. Start with Micki.
Oh, yay. This is what happens when you sit immediately
Left
to
to
the left. My name is Micki Bell. I am the director of marketing and communications at Green Bench Brewing Company here in St. Petersburg, Florida. I started my brewing career working for a wholesaler, actually probably bartending, I would say. But once I got on the other side of the bar, I worked in wholesale as a craft beer specialist sales rep in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And then I became the executive director of the Oklahoma Craft Brewers Guild and worked to help modernize the alcohol laws in Oklahoma, which we did. And then I became the marketing director. I think I had like a wonky name, but at Prairie Artisan Ales.
Oh, hell yeah. And
then made the move to Florida to go work at Cigar City. And now I have landed at my forever brewery home at Green Bench.
Awesome.
Hello, my name is Allie Gray. I am the pizza delivery boy at Seven Sun Brewing in Tampa. I first started getting into beer when I wandered into my local ABC Fine Wine and Spirits and found out that they were hiring. They assumed since I was a young person that I would understand craft beer immediately. I did not. So I got into it, and once I understood the retail side of craft beer, I really wanted to get more into it. I wanted to make it. I wanted to work at a brewery, and I eventually went on to go to Gainesville, and I was Swamphead's first female production worker. I was there for about a year, and then I moved back to my hometown to work at Ocala's first and only brewery for the first 5 years of Infinite Ale Works. Where they specialize in Belgian craft beer. That was an interesting time in my life. And then, as with Micki, I found my forever home eventually at Seven Sun Brewing in Tampa.
I'm Meghin Magliano. I am the owner of Brewer. I'm also the social media manager at Sun Brewery in Lakeland. I started at Keel and Curly in Plant City. And that was an interesting time in my life. I got hired at Swan, where I started as a bartender and made my way back to assistant brewer, and then decided to start my own business. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Awesome. My name's Devon Kreps. I own the Seventh Sun Brewery in both Dunedin and Tampa. And I got my start in beer by basically trying craft beer, growing up in Michigan, trying Bell's. Not going to disclose my age, but anyways, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. I was starting college, and a friend of mine was like, hey, Oregon State, they have a beer brewing degree. And I was like, that's crazy, you're wrong. And he's like, I promise you, it's true. So I looked it up, and it was true. And so I said, that's what I'm going to do. I want to open a brewery eventually. And so that's what I went to school for. And I got a job with Anheuser-Busch right out of college, pretty much. And that was, while I wanted to be in craft, I thought it's good for my resume and I'm going to learn a lot there. And I did. It was a great experience. And without it, I wouldn't have gotten into Sweetwater Brewing Company, where I was the production manager for a lot of years, which really set me up, I think, the best for owning a brewery down the line, just kind of juggling all the pieces that I had to do in that job. So eventually landed on Florida as the place to open the Seventh Sun. And at the time, there was only one other brewery in Dunedin, and that's where we opened the original location. And now there's 9 breweries, including us, in Dunedin. It's crazy. So it's really grown a lot. But yeah, that's we just celebrated 11 years. So yeah.
And I'm a huge fan, so
Oh,
you know.
thank you.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Parker with AccuBrew, and you're listening to Time as an Ingredient. Take your brewing to the next level with AccuBrew's revolutionary fermentation monitoring system, now predicting specific gravity. AccuBrew's mobile app and stainless steel sensor work together to send you live data from inside your tanks, including predicted gravity, fermentation activity, clarity, and temperature. Unlike other fermentation monitoring systems, AccuBrew is CIP ready and designed to stay out of the way, saving you time and space. Our set it and forget it solution helps maintain consistency and detect problems before they ruin a batch. Join the AccuBrew community today and enjoy 24/7 peace of mind. And come see us at CBC Brew Expo in Nashville to meet the engineers at booth number 2935. So ostensibly, this came up, I was thinking about Pink Boots, of course. But I don't know where you guys want to take the conversation. So I guess first, I think to remind people that getting women into brewing is not something new. Mm-hmm. So whoever wants to speak about, that if they want.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak to that a little bit. While I still haven't read all of A Woman Belongs in the Brew House, I got a little bit of a start on it, and it's pretty crazy. Like, just the sort of how women were, she goes all the way back to like how women just were in society, that they were equals at the beginning. And then once people started, men started going off to war and conquering lands and all these things, like that's when there started to become this disparaging, difference between men and women. And we were the brewers for a long, long time. And then, suddenly it became a man's thing, apparently. I don't know why, but yeah. So, while the question I would get constantly, what's it like to be a woman in the brewing industry?
My favorite question.
It's always been the most frustrating question because it's like, well, first of all, that's the only experience I know. So like, it's my experience. Like, how am I supposed to know otherwise? But, what's it like? It's a little bit, you're on the outside, and that's what we're trying to combat essentially. And that's what Pink Boots is about. And it's been around for how long? It's 60s or something? Anybody know? No?
Oh yeah, I have no idea when Pink Boots first started, but it's been around for a while.
For a long time. And it's just grown and grown and grown. And, some of the people here in this room have contributed a lot towards, growing the chapter here in Florida. And, I give them a lot of credit for that because it's been really helpful and eye-opening even to me when I've been in this industry for like 20 years and I've only been in Pink Boots for a little while. And it really opened my eyes to like, holy cow, there's people who share my experiences, and there's people who, have frustrations and have been through hell, and you feel less alone when you get to, share those experiences with people. And Pink Boots does that, as well as educating, what we just did, like a off flavor panel at Seventh Sun like a week ago. So it's a fantastic organization. And I don't even know where, we started getting women back into brewing. So so that's really another part of it. It's a safe space for us to be, and non-binary individuals are also welcome at Pink Boots. And I think it's a great organization.
And one of the main issues with being a female in the brewing industry is that you'll hear this quote a lot, that we have to be the smartest person in the room to gain any sort of respect or attention, Well, I'm the shining beacon of light, here to disprove that. I will forever be the dumbest person in the room, and I'm
true.
still here 6 years later in the industry. There's things that I still don't know, that I honestly at this point should know, but I mean, at the end of the day, I always count on having good teachers, like Devon herself. Like, you really don't have to be the smartest person in the room to get any respect, but it's the fact that it's pushed on us. Yeah. Like, it's whenever you submit your resume to a brewery, it looks better on you as a female if you have all these extracurricular certifications or an education background in beer versus just a man submitting his resume and he's the owner's friend. Yeah. So it's that I'm trying to demolish, and I'm also trying to demolish the term male-dominated industry in general for this industry. Yeah. I said that word twice. But yeah, I just really love Pink Boots because it's a huge tool to let females know that it is a safe space. And I've had people ask me before, like, why do we need Pink Boots? And it's because, well, I mean, the beer industry in general is the boys club, so we kind of need one too, and it's available for everyone all over the United States. It's not just here, and it's not just in the United States either. It's outside. I know they're working on having a chapter built up in South Africa, which is pretty awesome.
That's amazing.
But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think so before I got into the beer industry, I've been in here for about 5 or 6 years. I was in tech support for about 7, which also felt like a boys' club. And so getting back into another situation like that, Pink Boots being here just kind of like allowed me to feel seen and heard. And it's so interesting, like how hard just in general we have to work, but how hard I felt like I super needed to do like everything. And there's just this community of women that are there every step of the way that would push or like, just support you. So it's just an incredible, incredible community.
Yeah.
And I will just speak on my experience with Pink Boots. So I'm from Oklahoma originally, and I was a part of the early days of craft beer in Oklahoma, probably one of the first women to work in craft beer in Oklahoma. Thank you. And we didn't have a Pink Boots chapter at that time because obviously it was such a young community and industry there. And so to say that it was a boys' club is a massive understatement because it was all men. Even coming from the wholesale side, it was very, very male forward. So leaving Oklahoma being such a key part to the growth, I feel like, of that industry. And I even feel weird, and I think that this is a female thing, to even give myself those accolades of my time and what I did in Oklahoma. But knowing that I was a key part of it and the fabric that's woven into the craft beer community that is very bustling there now, coming to Florida and joining Pink Boots was such a breath of fresh air for me because there was a community of women, of people that I could talk to, that I could see how they were supporting each other, see how they were just having conversations, being able to have a conversation with women in this industry, and really any industry where you feel like you are marginalized, is such a benefit to everyone. I don't hold a title in Pink Boots, but I enjoy going to everything that they put on that I can make it to because it makes me feel like I belong. And I do feel like I've had a pretty fortunate experience in beer for 95% of my career. But this just really, it made Florida and being in the craft beer community in Florida feel like home.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can speak to the fact too, just like even brew days. So like, Pink Boots, they'll do kind of collaborations essentially with breweries, and all the women that can make it that day come that day, and there's just something about being there that day with all the women together. It's more comfortable. It's like you feel more safe. You feel like you don't have to kind of put on this like, hey, I'm cool, like don't worry about me kind of attitude. It's just like, no, I'm just gonna be myself. Instead of when you're around men, I think you automatically kind of put up a little wall and you try to kind of guard yourself around being, I don't know what to say.
Well, because
you
it's
guys
just
get
like
what I mean.
Pink Boots Brew Days versus just a regular collab between a brewery and a brewery.
Yeah.
It's like the feel's very different. It's open. It's like very, very inviting. Like you could be an outsider walking into a Pink Boots Brew Day and be like, "What's going on here? What are you guys doing?" And we always try to make it fun. And usually the brew days are our most attended Pink Boots events that we do throughout the year. And it's nice having about, I'd say about the most we've had was like 25 come to one brew day before. And that was just an amazing, can I say shit show?
Sure. Sure.
That was an amazing shit show.
It is what it is.
And not only are, the brew days a huge thing that Pink Boots are involved in, but it also helps us fund our chapter. And then we get money back into our funds to help pay for scholarships and a bunch of other things. Our off-flavor course stuff was paid for by the money we raised in our chapter. So it's just like a whole circle of giving back and getting people involved and letting people know that there is a space that exists to where you can get your foot in the door or you can get your foot back in the door. We have people joining Pink Boots who left craft beer and saw what we had and felt safer coming back.
That's awesome.
And I love things like that.
Yeah.
And to speak on what Devon said, it's just to not feel like you have to be on.
Yes.
And
that's it.
Yeah, because I'm definitely always off.
And when we can surround ourselves with other women in the industry and have conversations without feeling like we have to have the perfect conversation, without knowing everything or feeling like we're slipping up or that we say something incorrectly, that just all goes away when we are together at any of these events that Pink Boots so kindly organizes and puts on. So
You're telling me you don't want to talk about water chemistry for an hour?
I would rather not.
Well, yeah.
It's the driest book on the planet. It's the water
Oh my God, I
chemistry
didn't even
book.
understand half those
Right.
words.
No.
Like, I don't know how many times you guys have been in this situation, but like where you have somebody that's usually for me, it's only with other men in the industry, but like where they're talking about something and like I might know a lot of what they're talking about, and then they kind of go off into an area where I'm like, okay, I didn't know that, and I'm just like nodding my head like, oh yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
Because like I can't not know something, and especially having gotten my education in this, it's even more pressure. Although I would say what I learned however many years ago that was, a lot of things have been updated since then. But I don't feel like that when I'm around other women. I feel like if I don't know something or if I make a mistake, somebody was just going to be like, oh, actually, it's like this. Or I can feel comfortable to ask, I don't know what you're talking about. Explain. Please explain.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's interesting because whenever we have done collabs that I've been a part of outside of Pink Boots, just as the assistant brewer, like for instance, there was one situation where we did one, and the brewery that we had collabed with also had a female assistant brewer, and she could not make the collab, but the entire day, it was that brewer that employs her, like comparing her to me and how it's a competition the entire time, which is so mind-boggling to me. Like, you're not going to another collab and like talking about the men that are in the room and comparing them. So I don't like, whenever we're doing these like brew days with women, it's like you said, like amazing and like a breath of fresh air, because it's not this weird like competition, and it shouldn't be.
It's literally a collaboration.
Right.
Literally
Exactly.
The opposite of competition. Yeah,
Right.
totally.
Well, and obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're open. Those collab days are open to non-members.
Actually, no.
No,
So
because we used to have other women come in, but
Yeah, absolutely. It's not strict rules that you have to
Right.
follow, but per the Pink Boots Society website, collab days are only for members, and if you're not a member, you actually have to pay a fee to attend them. But again, I don't enforce that rule. I don't
Right.
think anyone should enforce that rule. That's
Right.
why Pink Boots has socials. Socials are Pink Boots based events that are open to the public.
Okay.
So basically, we pick a bar or we pick a brewery and we make an event and we make that event public. And we're saying, hey, come hang out with the Pink Boots Society at this brewery. Let's have some beers and talk about some stuff.
Right.
But however, yes, so Pink Boots Brew Days are technically only for members. That's a perk of being a member. But again, I don't really think anyone enforces
Right.
that. Or
Yeah, we've
should.
never enforced that, and we've definitely had like breweries that have done Pink Boots beers or collabs, and they've allowed like their staff that might not be a part of it.
Exactly.
They've definitely been a part of it, and we've never been like, hey, actually,
Yeah.
that's what we did. Yeah.
Especially, I mean, because it's about inclusivity, but I also get it. It's like you need to, and the other thing too is what a membership's like $45 for a whole year.
Yeah.
Like that's like way less than you pay for Netflix, you know.
Yeah.
So especially now.
also, whenever you're interested, you do get your first meeting for free anyway. So if we had a meeting, like for instance, with our off-flavor course, we're trying to have certain areas of our state like bring more women in, and it was like a conversation that we had that we would invite women that are in the industry but aren't necessarily members, because we want them to see the perks and the benefits, and they get that first meeting for free anyway.
And I'd have to say that I'm actually quite impressed with our Florida chapter. We went to the Pink Boots conference last February.
Yeah.
And our chapter was actually brought up on many PowerPoints for using examples about how to raise funds and how to, get a bunch of brew days listed underneath your chapter's belt for the year. I can't stress enough how strong I think our chapter is, and it's just a huge support system. We've helped many girls who have been fired from their breweries find new homes. Feel accepted, feel as if they they're not, they come to us and they're like, oh, I feel like a loser. Like, please don't. We will help you get right back in where you need to be. Our support system is awesome. And I just think that people like Meghin running the chapter keep the wheels turning the way they should and keep our chapter as strong as it needs to be.
Oh, thank you.
What are some of the other events you do that are public? I mean, there's the Female Brew Fest, which was that the first one?
No.
Or the
No, that's
how many?
that we're
That's
going
a
on
different-
4, right? But that's not a Pink Boots.
No,
Yeah, so Female
no,
Brew
but I
Fest
mean
is
that
a-
is something all of you probably attended.
Yes.
I know you went down.
Yeah, we've all
Yeah.
been
So
to.
the woman who runs Female Brewfest was our chapter leader about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Her name's Frances. She is, again, the owner of Female Brewfest. They're going on their 6th year. I think.
Really?
I went to like 2 of them
Okay.
back when I worked at Swamp Head, like in 2017.
Okay. My
So,
bad.
I could be wrong too. It could
That
be
sounds
5.
right. 2017.
Frances
Time
knows I
flies.
can't count. She'll love me anyway.
Right.
I know there's been at least 3.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was thinking too.
there's at
Since
least
I
3.
lived here. Yeah. So probably, somewhere 6, 7.
Yeah.
Let's do 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. It's been around for 25 years.
But as far as other events that Pink Boots does and throws on, so we do have the socials. We do our meetings every 4 months all across the state of Florida. And then we also do brew days. So those are normally the main things that are Pink Boots affiliated. We have started to get ourselves involved with more shit. So recently Pink Boots merged with Best Florida Beer, and we will now be helping them with available bodies to judge beer this year and every year moving forward. Because of our chapter, they got like 25 extra heads this year. Nice. So that was pretty cool. We did get thanked for that by Bob from Motorworks. Mm-hmm. And then we also have kind of merged with the Florida Brewers Guild. And pretty much any events they throw on or any meetings they have, like a Pink Boots tent or a Pink Boots member is present. Since we now have a Pink Boots member on the Florida Brewers Guild board now, who is not only she is the first Brewers Guild member that doesn't own a brewery. So that was a really awesome thing to be a part of, not only getting a Pink Boots member on there, but, one that doesn't just fit the criteria of you have to own a brewery in order to be on the board. That's just fucking silly. Oh, my God. It's okay. But yes, and then when it leans into Female Brew Fest, that is something that is definitely connected with Pink Boots because of who runs it and how much of us get involved. And yeah, that's definitely the big one.
Shout out to Yakima Hops, I guess,
Hell yeah, dude.
doing your thing for
Pinky Boots blend.
Yeah. And when is that? That's coming up soon. International Women's Day collab isn't it? When is that? That's a couple of months.
So a lot of people think that their Pink Boots Brew Days have to be on or their beer come out by International Women's Day. We've kind of been spreading the message recently in the last few years that you don't have to do that, because then we have so many brew days crammed into one time frame, and that's not fair to all of the breweries who want bodies there. So there is no basis with International Women's Day and the Pink Boots Hop Blend or brew days, essentially. It's just something that a lot of breweries like to do, and we would like some to keep doing them, but personally, I like doing my brew days at the end of the year, because that way I know I can get a bunch of people, because I'll give you 5 months in advance to request the day off.
Right.
The Pink Boots Hop Blend for this year, is pre-orders started? Or
Yes.
Yeah, I think
it did.
Yeah, the pre-orders have started. And mentioning the Pink Boots Hop Blend, something I also want to communicate to whatever breweries are listening that want to do a Pink Boots Brew Day, you do not have to use the hops. The hops are not required to use in your Pink Boots Brew Day. The only thing that is required is that you register your brew day on pinkbootsociety.org, and a donation is also required of some sort, like $1 per pint or whatever your brewery wants to do. But yeah, I know a lot of people get discouraged from wanting to do brew days because they don't like the hop blend, and I'm here to tell you, you do not have to use it.
Well, and to that point too, I think it's important to note, because this has been a recent change for Pink Boots, but it's now fermented beverage industry, right? And so it's not just beer. So if you have an interest in wine, spirits, cider, mead, any of it, it's seltzer. Yeah, so Seventh Son just did the first seltzer collab for Pink Boots, the first seltzer we ever made. Yeah, and it was a really fun day, and we kind of got a little creative with it. I was watching TikTok, as I do on occasion, and I saw something about pink tax, and I kind of heard about pink tax before, but I wasn't really sure what it was, and then this person was explaining it, and essentially it's things that are marketed quote unquote towards women, pink things, purple things, and whatever, and razors are one of the better examples, because on average they're 66% more expensive if they're pink and marketed towards women than the men's razors, and they essentially do the same thing. Although
it's the same razor.
Yeah,
it's exactly
we even
the same.
said we think the men's razors are usually better, and they're cheaper. So we wanted to kind of bring some awareness to that, and it's fitting to do that with the Pink Boots Society, and so that it can also benefit the Pink Boots Society. But it's a topic for everybody, not just women. I mean, it shouldn't be this thing is automatically more expensive, and both men and women can kind of take the initiative to, when they're be more aware of it, and then choose not to buy things for that, in that way. I was just talking with a friend. He has a daughter, and they were getting her a scooter, and he noticed, because his wife had told him about the pink tax, the purple and pink scooters were that much more expensive, and so they were like, no, we're going to get a black one or a gray one or whatever. And so just being conscious about things like that. So I didn't get to what we actually made. It's we made a hard seltzer that's exactly the same in every way except for the color. And so one of them is blue and one of them is pink. and we charged more for the blue one to make a point. And so every bit of that extra money is going to Pink Boots, and then we're going to do a percentage of the proceeds of both of them as well. So it's to make the point.
Very cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah. No, I'm really excited with how it's all come
It's
together.
also really good.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, it's painkiller inspired hard seltzer, and it was really fun to do. And I'm glad everybody was at Pink Boots is okay with kind of taking the risk, because I knew it could be controversial. But I think overall we've had a lot of good feedback, even amongst some silly and dumb things that have been said out there. So
I don't understand how that could be controversial, but
Well,
anything can be. So
yeah, and there was a little bit of the way it was written in an article, saying that we're charging more for men, and it's like that everybody's head exploded. No, we're not charging more for men. That would be ridiculous and illegal.
women can buy the blue one.
And it would be the counterintuitive to exactly what we're trying to do here.
Right.
We're just charging more for the blue one. So
Right.
if you want to give more money to charity, buy the blue one.
Right.
The end,
Men can buy pink beers.
Yes, they can. And they should.
That always cracked me up as a bartender. Like literally some men would come in, and if the beer was served in a chalice, they were like, "Can you put that in a pint glass so I don't look, G word, and then or I don't want a girly beer,
Right.
and I'm like, I don't know. I've been behind the bar now only a few years, and I don't know what a girly beer is because I know a lot of women have been banging these double IPAs and imperial stouts, and I don't see as much difference as you think there is.
Yeah, let's just talk about imperial stouts for a second and girly beers.
Right.
And I mean, chocolate and fruit and vanilla, like things that are associated with women.
Right.
There's a lot of men out there that like those very sweet and scrumptious imperial stouts.
They are too. They are.
Also, just like, why, if it's desserty or candy or whatever, is it female automatically? Why is there a gender assigned to a flavor?
Or mostly a color too.
And,
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
When I worked at Infinite, one of the most ordered beers at the bar was the Raspberry Whitfinite. And because it was pink, and I guess people don't understand what color raspberries are when they order the beer, I would serve it to people, and they would be like, "Oh," I'm like, "It's really good, and no one else is here. No one's gonna see you. I promise." Just drink it.
Yeah.
It's funny because my time at Prairie, we came out with a beer called Blueberry Boyfriend. And in the tap room, there would be men that literally would not say the word boyfriend.
I'll just take the blueberry.
Yeah, basically. They're like, the blueberry one. I mean, they want to try it. And the thing is that beer, drinks, none of this should ever be gender-based.
Yeah.
It's okay to say boyfriend. It's okay to say blueberry boyfriend.
Yeah.
It's absolutely okay, and it's okay to like it. A blueberry is not made for girls. Like, it's just
It's
we'll
blue.
take 'em,
so
you
silly.
know?
Yeah. So it's just those are little nuances that I think we've all experienced in this industry, that it just keeps that wheel rolling of that there's this division between the two of us, between men, women, non-binary, everything. And there's just not a division. We are all in this together. We are all in an industry that is so grassroots and rooted in creating a product. And everyone's job is so important to get that product into the hands of consumers, which is so special. And it's what I love about beer, because everyone kind of touches it along the way. And if we are saying like girly beers, or that guys only drink this, or that women do this, it takes away a little bit each time. It chips away and takes away from that overall great experience that obviously we've all had at some point in this industry, and why we're still here and we love it so much.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I did a spicy lager and called it Daddy, so I wonder how many people didn't order that one.
Right. Well, I mean, as you were saying when we met before the event, before this, we're a kind of a split personality industry where we're producers and than we're retail.
Yeah.
And so we are meeting our customers, which a lot of industries, they're only shipping out to, well, some breweries do, but they only sell off-site.
Yeah.
And we make most of our money over the counter on our property. And so we get to know our customers in a completely different way. And it's weird to me. I know where I worked for 10 years, we were, and I hope this is true, my God, you will straighten me out. But we were known as a safe space, I think. I know a lot of young women came in and they knew that when they were at our place that if anything was going down, that wasn't going to happen there.
Yeah.
And it was going to, I hope, was that true? Because
Yeah,
you were there.
I think for the most part, as much as, that
That
being
place
a
can
woman
be.
at a bar
Right.
anywhere, anytime, there's always some kind of like, watch out for yourself factor.
Yeah, your heart's in
But-
your throat every time you start
Yeah.
to walk in the door.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, but I've seen, at where you were like, people get kicked out for being jerks. So,
Yeah.
That's appreciated. And, I think definitely it's important to what Micki was talking about, that we don't keep reaffirming these stereotypes. And one thing that's bothered me in the past is like when sometimes like women have a brewery, they start making beer, and then they play into that, like they play into those stereotypes, and like, I mean, I guess you could say like you're taking it back, but really it's just perpetuating something. And I think probably everybody at this table, except for you, Parker,
Yep.
has probably had that experience of, they're with a man, there's a man standing next to them that knows nothing about the beer industry, that's not in the beer industry. And and then somebody comes up and is talking to you, and their eyes are on the man, they're looking to the man. I'm answering all the questions.
Right.
Like, I'm like waving at them, like, over here, yes.
Yeah.
And
That's me and my husband 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband's a big burly man with a beard.
So he
Oh,
must
yeah.
know everything. And
Yeah.
I will admit to myself, many years ago, I was at a beer fest at Cajun Cafe, and I made the assumption that the man standing behind the counter was the brewer. And I was like, crap, I'm doing it myself. Like, it's like we have to kind of even wipe it from our own brains and be aware that that unconscious bias is already is happening amongst our own selves as well. So I think like eliminating that girly beer thing is a big part of trying to, eradicate that kind of thinking, and so that doesn't happen as much, and because it's really, really annoying when it's like, I'm the one, who took out the loan, I've done all this work, and like this guy over here, knows nothing. So,
Right.
yeah.
I always think too, like, it's even more condescending whenever you're like, yeah, I made this beer, and they're like, you made this beer? You did this?
Kill me.
So true. That's impossible.
No, I just wished it like that.
Yeah, you're like,
because I'm a
good
fairy princess.
job.
So
Good job.
Yeah. You can do it. Yay.
honestly, I mean, with me and Tyler right now, obviously that doesn't happen to me because we both do the same thing. But whenever we go to a video game store, he doesn't know anything about video games, and I am the hardcore video gamer, and I just make him carry my stuff. So we get up to the counter, and he puts all this stuff down, and the guy starts saying all these things, and I just peek behind Tyler, and I answer everything the guy said.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms, because that industry is, my God, some of the Twitch streamers, the crap they've gotten, it's just, it's unreal.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
trying to, it's just a young woman playing games, and it can't end there.
Yeah.
It just
There can't be girl gamers.
can't be girl gamers, especially popular ones making much more money than you, whiny little person in the comments.
Well, and heaven forbid that women lean into the feminine things that they like and be creative and maybe over the top on that stuff.
Right.
And then people just drive that home even more, that they don't belong there because they're being so girly with it or something. Like I always just get really bothered by that there's space for everyone.
Yeah.
And in whatever creative way that they want to express it, that's not harming themselves or anyone else.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
It reminds me of that quote from Queen's Gambit. For those who haven't seen it, it's about a female who dominates the chess industry. She is before some sort of board, and they told her that she was too glamorous for the chess world. And I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you can't wear a gorgeous dress and beat a bunch of dudes at chess? Like,
Yeah. 'Cause
no.
it can't be two things. That you can't be pretty and smart or
I'm going to
whatever.
brew beer in a prom dress and nobody's stopping me.
Yeah.
which I think is
Except
kind of
maybe
what
OSHA.
you were talking about
Yeah.
early on, Devon, is when we get in these rooms with men and having to be cool or be this, like sometimes I've dressed differently when I've known that I'm going to be in certain situations, or I don't wear as much makeup, or I, wear a t-shirt and jeans, which I like to anyways, but sometimes I want to wear a cute dress and wear cute shoes and have makeup and still be taken seriously.
Sure.
and not be judged.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember whenever I was in the brew house, I feel like once I quit and started my own thing, I realized how drastic my fashion and everything had changed because I did do that thing where I like subdued myself, and I was always just like in sweats or in some kind of like hat and a ponytail.
Yeah.
And then like,
Yeah, you were. now that I think about it.
yeah. And so it's so interesting that you don't even realize that you're doing it to yourself,
Right.
but you are like,
Yeah, and you're like denying your own self-expression. I mean, you have fabulous like fashion sense. So like
Megan does
I
always
steal
look real
outfit
fly.
ideas from her all the time, and she doesn't know until now.
yeah, so it's like a shame that you were covering, feeling like you couldn't just do that and be yourself, and not be taken seriously because it's the world is missing out, seriously. So
well, thanks guys.
And I also wanted to say when we were talking about pink boots, because I did realize this at our last meeting, and I think that I had thought about this as well, that anyone that's in the fermented beverage industry, it doesn't matter what your position is. You don't have to be in production or packaging or marketing or sales or social media or, I mean, it's all of it. It's bartenders. It's everything. So I do know that in Oklahoma, when we were trying to originally start our chapter there was a lot of bartenders did not realize that they could be in pink boots, and that is such a huge and important part of our industry as
The
well.
majority
And-
of the women in the industry are
and it's
behind
it's
the
a
bar.
huge number, and that's
Yeah.
I think a great way to also get people really engaged with your chapter is to don't forget about front of house, because they're so crucial to what we're doing in this industry.
Absolutely. I feel like every event that we put on, we get at least one, if not more, people say, oh, well, I'm not a brewer. I can't be a part of it. And that is far from the case. Like,
Extremely far from the case. Like it just baffles me how people even just like spew out their opinions without even doing the research. They're like, oh, it's just a bunch of brewers, I'm not going to know anything. But when you look at the numbers, more than half of our members in the state of Florida own a brewery. There's more brewery owners in our Florida chapter than there are people who actually brew the beer or work in production in any capacity.
wow.
So it's very inclusive. It's like, I know there was one person who worked in a kitchen at a brewery and asked me if they could join Pink Boots. I'm like, of course you can.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm the lead and I bake with it. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And I think like crap, I just lost my train of thought.
Brain fart.
To the point of like bartenders being involved, I mean, they're kind of on the front lines of taking some of the most crap
100%.
Agree.
and they had to do it with a smile on their face or try to deal with sort of setting somebody straight. I mean, how many times when it's like, oh, I want an IPA. Some guy comes in, I want an IPA. Well, you're not going to know anything about those. Is there a man around to tell me? That happens all the time.
if anybody needs it, it's the bartender.
Exactly. And they also have the least like sort of, I don't know, like agency or ability to sort of defend themselves because they are in a customer service, a customer facing world. And it's like walking that tightrope of, that's why it's really important for, owners of breweries to understand and let their people know that they're in a safe place where they're backed up. If somebody comes in and they're aggressive or anything, I'm like, no, zero tolerance policy, like for real, like stay the hell away from my staff if you're going to act like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's even more important for everybody to know that they have a place here and that it's a safe space and they can kind of learn how to deal with that. And on the other side too, I feel like the owners of breweries, they probably deal with the least amount of crap because there's, and I'm not like disavowing anyone's experience ever, but like, at least with when you're an owner of a brewery, it kind of comes with like this, rock starry kind of whatever, and people will. Well, and I'm saying this because my experience has been, where if something has happened to me that's been offensive, I will stand up and say something and I'll get an apology right away. Whereas like, when the whole kind of Me Too craft beer thing happened, I mean, it was story after story after story of women working behind the bar or sales reps or whatever, and just taking so much crap and saying something and doing nothing. It doesn't result
doubles
in
down
anything.
even. It makes it worse sometimes to even
so
say
it's like
something.
at least I'll get an apology or a corrective behavior because I own so I think that's why it's so important. It's definitely not just owners or brewers. It's everybody because it's
We might have to edit this, but my age, cis, gender, the whole thing, I was raised entirely wrong. And when I got into this industry, it was the first time in my life I actually had to work side by side with women. And I was like, oh shit, there's a lot that I'm not getting. I don't want to use the word baggage because it has kind of a negative connotation, but they're bringing a lot into this space that hurt PTSD almost.
Yeah.
I mean, they've gone through things that I don't understand, can't appreciate, and had to just learn how to just say, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I can't fix it. I can't say anything to it. But if anything goes down, it ended right there.
Yeah.
And I think we always had a reputation with our female employees, I hope, that same thing, like when we're not double guessing them. We're not gonna question their decision. They have our support. If they didn't, then one of us would be there 24 hours a day watching everything.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's the thing too, is like if somebody's coming to you, that means it's bad because how much just things you're like, well, it's not worth dealing with. It's not worth dealing with.
And if someone comes to you and you are the manager and it is your job to help your employees and you do not help your employees, shame on you. You do not deserve to be in a position where you control other people.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
We at least I tried because I learned the hard way, even from my own industry in tech support and field service, that if I didn't feel supported out there, I couldn't make any decision. I couldn't do I was frozen.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that carried over. I hope everybody feels that way when they think back about my tenure. But this brings up something you mentioned before what we were talking about. What can breweries do? Learn or move forward, or I don't even know what to say, because a lot of them might not even think they have a problem, or,
The ones with the most problems think they don't have any problems.
Maybe.
Definitely.
Honestly, at this point, the most easy answer for the breweries out there who don't think they need it, or the ones that do, get HR. There are so many affordable third-party HR programs out there that cost less than a phone bill. And if you ever tell your employee that you cannot afford HR because of money issues, that employee needs to run immediately. You're telling me my safety and the safety of the other people you employ is not worth $99 a month? Right. That's insane. That's literally the best answer I could give for, again, toxic or healthy environments. You need an HR program, a non-biased third-party company that's not just going to be the owner who goes around and does a private investigation. That's so unprofessional.
We've seen how some of those go in Tampa.
Yeah.
So
it's so important because, kind of what we were talking about earlier, where it's like multiple, it's so many things. It's manufacturing, it's retail, it's marketing, it's like owning a brewery with a tasting room is so many hats, and it's so many different things, like, and nobody's going to go to school for all of them. And one of the things most people don't know much about is that HR side of things. And, you know, I found it very helpful. If I'm having an issue, like, I want to know what are my legal duties? How do I deal with this the best way? Because I also am not a big fan of just like getting nasty. You know, I like to work with my employees and, like, you know, work a team together. And I know a lot of people say that. I know that I have not been perfect, but I also,
Are you kidding me?
I have not been perfect, but it's like understanding that you're not perfect and being willing to learn and being open to, hey, you know, you should be doing better at this or that. But yeah, having that HR piece to make sure that you're doing the right thing by the people that are out there putting their blood, sweat, and tears every single day into what, you know, you're doing. So
I think everybody that's been to either location knows you guys have an awesome staff. So
thank you. I'm very lucky.
Not a lot of turnover, super
No,
loyal
that's not
people.
luck. That's not luck at all. I mean, maybe it was a little bit of luck you found people, but you know.
Yeah, did you just say that was luck?
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
insane?
Well, I'm lucky to have so many great people, regardless. Like,
You've created you did, like I had said earlier, was, you know, when you get treated like an asshole, then you know the owner's probably an asshole. And it's obvious that you've created a space where they, you know,
Thank you.
where it I think, you know, people know this maybe doesn't a good fit for me because I'm not allowed to be an asshole.
yeah.
I think to add on to that is to say to be a place of conversation. I know that in my time in beer, a lot of times it's my way or the highway, or like we give you a cool job, so just
free
kind
beer.
of
Do you know how
deal
many
with
people
it.
are in line for this? I hate
$12 an hour
that.
job.
So I feel very fortunate at this point that I work at a place that the beer, the facilities, and mostly the people are just so beautiful. It's the most diverse group that I've ever worked with over at Green Bench.
Very true.
And our ownership is just very open to having conversations. I think, and I'm not speaking for them, I'm just speaking on my experience there, that it's a place where people can professionally and personally grow, that people are going to make mistakes. People are going to do what they're going to humans do. But our leadership over at Green Bench really takes the time to listen to people, to work through anything that comes through, and we work through it as a team. And I just can't stress enough how safe that feels. That I think that HR is like such a great component to having at your brewery. And even before that, I think you have to be creating a space where people can have conversations, where they can express themselves, where they can learn to all work together. Great. In any work dynamic, there's going to be, you know, personalities that aren't the best matches for each other all the time, but creating a space where you can have a conversation on how we all best work better together and where we can grow as professionals and people, you just have to be open to that. You have to be open to everyone that's on your staff and what they have to say and what their experience is.
Yeah. And it seems like, oh, Duhsville, that's so, you know, but it's rarely the case. It's rarely the case. And I will say, definitely Green Bench is, in my mind, one of the shining examples, you know, of how to do it the right way, you know. And I mean, that's from talking to you a lot as well. I mean, it's like we've all been through hellish experiences and, you know when you're at a good spot because you're like, oh, this is very different than what I was used to at that other place. So
Exactly.
like dead air.
Dead air.
That was my shameless Green Bench plug.
Yeah.
But I had
It's
to throw
very
that in there
true.
because it is a journey that
is.
we've all had a journey in beer. And I mean, Allie and I can both share in and I've had great experiences, but once you find the place that you feel like aligns with your moral compass and the way you want to treat people and the way you want to be treated, it just feels so different, and it feels so comforting, and like you can actually be your best professional self and your best personal self.
Yeah.
You're never getting rid of me.
I will find you.
Because I don't want to.
Well, I've had a couple of different positions over the years, and it's at some point you understand that you're hiring and firing out of the real world, and you get the best out of people when you let them, when you realize that they're not going to be here forever. They're going to move on, and maybe they can take something with them from there that won't be like, what a son of a bitch that was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think I always tried to help people when I was in technical fields, and then later on in this industry. I hope, again, we'll find out what happens when the employees see this. But, you know, I know some of them I said, listen, I know you're not going to be here forever. And this is the way things I think should be done. And this is what is keeping our customers coming back.
Yeah.
You know, because we don't sell beer. Was my big thing is we provide an experience.
Yeah.
And beer is kind of free.
Well,
you know, it's in your glass, but you paid $6 to hang out.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, you know, do you get more out of, you know, do people do better when they're scared that they're going to be wrong all the time, or scared that if they speak up they won't be heard? Or do you get like the best version of somebody when they feel comfortable and they feel free, and their ideas, they can throw an idea out there and they know like no one's going to be like, that's stupid, why'd you think it, you know? It's just so much more pleasant overall, and so many more cool things can be created as a result of it. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember now the woman that did the TED Talk about that. I think she had worked at DARPA, of all things. But the talk was about a culture where people were afraid to fail, and how limiting that just drew everything down eventually, because nobody would step, you know, anywhere if
Eggshells.
if they felt like stuff was coming down on me now. And I will say that in the engineering room, I think people should understand that there are some ideas that don't get implemented, but even the worst idea at the table often triggers thoughts in other people's minds.
Exactly.
You know, like, that's a really stupid idea.
Yeah.
And they're like, but it made me think of this other, and that maybe that was all it took to put us on the right direction, you know, because if you don't know where the wrong direction is, where's the right direction?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. So anything else you guys want to talk about? Because I don't have a lot of questions. I don't. I didn't know where to go with this because it's not my experience.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I will say that I do think a lot of good material was covered within the.
Absolutely.
I don't know how long we've been here. I can't count, but
I like how you went to go look
We've
for
heard.
a watch.
Not wearing
She did that.
hair past a freckle.
but I'm like, no, like this is a pretty good group of women right here to get together
Definitely.
and talk about this stuff, because you know, we all, again, like Micki said before the show, we all come from different backgrounds, we all do different things, and we all have different stories, but in a way they all are important when you put them together. You know, and basically what I wanted to say to anyone listening, especially if it's a female wondering if the beer industry is for you, I can tell you right now it is. If that's what you want to do it. Every single brewery I've worked at before Seven Sun had someone telling me that I was not supposed to be doing this. Maybe I should just do social media, or maybe I should just do something else. Well, I kept ignoring that. And, you know, even though brewing's not my favorite thing to do in the back, I still do it. And I still am quite surprised that I'm still here, but I just want to let people know that if I can stick it out, and if I can do it, you can most certainly do it, because I'm stupid.
Well, and whatever. First of all, you're not stupid. But secondly, we got one of my favorite beers that we've made out of you coming on board.
Which one was that?
The Schwartz beer,
Yeah,
darling, of
that was
course.
awesome. I don't go for that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
you gave me a sip of that.
And not
It was
to
really
mention,
awesome.
it was so popular in our tasting room and everything. And I thought, okay, Schwartz beer. One, nobody really knows what it is. Like the general population doesn't. And like a dark lager sounds like, wait, what? That's the opposite of what I'm going for. So to get people to not only try it but love it, and it's like you created that.
It's gonna
that
get me
came
my
from your
red
brain.
overalls.
That was a crisp, dry, wonderful.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, if you close your eyes, you wouldn't know it was that dark.
Yeah, it's got a little,
'cause
just
it
enough.
Just had
Just
enough.
enough. Yeah.
But it wasn't that burnt malt that I hate.
No.
But then I'm like, hey, Devin, let's name this beer Soup. And she's like, okay.
Yep, that was a different one. That Allie has come up with so many like names and ideas, and she's super creative. She does all of our we call them Acid Tuesday beers, the little treatments that we have every week, and it's like I'm always just like, okay, what's next? Because she's got so many great ideas, and I'm just glad that you're at Seventh Son and doing that as a part of our team.
I've never had a higher up let me experience creative freedom, especially to the point where I can design labels and name beer Soup. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I think the only thing that I have to say about anything would be if you are a consumer in this industry and you're trying to figure out like what you can do to like be better or do better or support, obviously listen is the obvious one, but one that I feel like should be really obvious is you can get beer anywhere.
Anywhere, there's so many options.
There's so much beer now, and why would you want to support somebody or an industry or a company that does not want to support their people or anything? So
That's true.
I don't know, that would be my takeaway. Like, just drink good beer, but drink good beer from good people.
Yes.
Vote with your wallet.
I think my parting thought would be that every position in this industry and every person is important, and it takes every person. It's an industry that's so interesting in the fact that everyone wears so many hats. If you're a brewer, you're probably packaging. Mm-hmm. If you're packaging, you're probably brewing sometimes. If you're, in marketing, you're doing some sales things and you're doing events things and switching all of that around. Our front of house staff, again, like I just can't stress enough that they are our front line. Our tap rooms are our biggest arm of marketing, and they see the things coming before the rest of us do. Mm-hmm. And I just, everyone is valued, and it starts with us that work at breweries and beverage companies or anything like that. It all starts with us, and that it kind of goes back to that kindergarten rule of treat others the way that you want to be treated, and that it also, from a consumer standpoint, just realize that we are manufacturing, we are retail. There's a lot of moving parts. So just be kind to the people that are trying to tell you about the product that we also love, that we are a part of, and maybe just listen.
Yeah.
Just listen to what they have to say, listen to their suggestion, and just be really excited that you get to drink a product straight from the source that a lot of people dedicate a lot of their life to helping you have a good experience with.
Yeah.
The girly beer might be your new favorite beer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Be kind and listen. That's
Well, I think that's one of the things I
Yeah.
wrote down that I didn't know how to say, but I read the news, listen to a lot of things, and at the end of the day, people are just asking for some very simple, straightforward things. Respect me, and we want some equal opportunity in pay. Mm-hmm. And then believe me when I tell you I'm not getting these things. Can you listen to me, please?
Yeah.
And I think, there's they were talking about reparations for African Americans. And guy's like, what do you want for reparations? And he's like, I want people to believe me.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
You know, we can talk about the rest of it later.
Yeah.
But today, can you just believe?
Yeah. Listen.
And I think
respect.
because so many things are outside of my experience, I know they're going to be outside of a lot of, you know, most of the men in this industry. Mm-hmm. And I think what you guys have said over and over and over is give us a second to listen. Mm-hmm. And maybe a tiny benefit of the effing doubt that we're, you know, maybe this is legit, because it's not like one of us saying this. Mm. There's tens of thousands of us, millions of us saying this. Yeah, so absolutely. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I just did. Yeah. I just mansplained.
Typical.
I tried to get through this without mansplaining.
Can't escape it anywhere.
No. We'll edit that out. We'll cut that out. We'll cut that. Not you. Say that. Not you. We'll edit that out. But so maybe you guys will edit out that part with me mansplaining. And then
it's okay, Parker.
And then you guys speak to that. Maybe, I don't know. Now put words in your mouth. This is like stop.
We know you're an ally.
I've stepped into every damn thing.
No.
I can't even pick my feet up. They're covered in shit now.
You're all good. Yeah. And like that's the thing too, just like kind of maybe to end on, is that, you know, we're not out here to try to like bash people or hate people or be like, you know, if you're a man, you're bad. It's not that. It's just kind of pointing this out. And, you know, if you want to be an ally and you want to be supportive, then yeah, listen, believe people, and also know that you're going to mess up, and that's okay. And we're okay with that. Just own it.
Just did.
Be open to having a conversation.
Yeah.
And not feeling like it's ever an attack. If we can't talk to each other, we're just not going to get anywhere. So just be open. If someone does tell you like, hey, it's not cool whenever you say that, or when you say it like that, it makes me feel this way. That's okay. And that's not a personal attack on the person. Yeah. It's let's have a conversation about how we can just treat each other better. Yeah. And I would just like to say thank you for not having all of us bring up a bunch of terrible, very specific situations that we've been in, because I think sometimes that's not how we're going to move the needle forward, I guess. I agree. And that can be triggering for some people, because I do think that we all have a story or multiple stories that we can tell. And I think everyone at this table, I can't speak for them, but I would think that our goal at this point is to just provide that safe space where we can talk about what we need to talk about, but just be a soft landing place.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can.
Huzzah.
Totally agree.
Woo!
All right, so I guess that's good.
That's good.
We're
feel
good.
great about
That's
it.
good. All right. So thank you for listening, and especially thank you to these awesome women working in our industry. And we hope that you've gained some insight into what we do. We love it. Until next time, cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.